I've been working in the toy industry as a designer and marketing manager for over 20 years. And if there's one thing I can tell you that's pretty universal is if it works, if it's successful, if it's already designed, it's going to get reused. It's going to get copied and repeated because unlike most industries, toothpaste, macaroni and cheese doesn't change that much year on year. Toys, though, tend to need a complete revision. So if you've got a successful toy one year, you're going to find a way to re-release it another year. And for He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, the original concept behind the line was not about a heroic barbarian that got his powers from a sword. He got his powers from his outfit. And yeah, no, I'm not talking about putting him in Cinderella's dress, but the toy line really was a dress-up line. Why was this? Well, let's explore. As I noted in the beginning, toy companies are very much about building what they already know, doing something that works and doing it again. So let's look at one of Mattel's most successful toy lines, the Barbie doll. Mattel also being the maker of He-Man. So with Barbie, girls and boys, if they're into Barbie, are going to own, a couple Barbie dolls. But where the real money is not in the doll, but it's all about the outfits. Not just because this allows for the play pattern of dress me up and hair play, which are the basic play patterns of the Barbie doll, but this is also where the margin is. The dresses can be sold individually, the outfits, and they have a much higher margin return than the dolls themselves. So the more outfits you can sell, the more money you're going to make. And you only need one Barbie doll or one Ken doll, if you will, and they can support an unlimited number of different outfits. And that's all part of the play. Taking the outfit off, putting it on, getting them dressed up for a different event, going to the beach, going to the movies, whatever Barbie's doing, and believe me, she's done everything from go to the moon to run for president, she's got an outfit for it. And selling the outfits individually have been a mainstay of the Barbie line since the very beginning. And that's really where the money is, as far as profit for the toy company and the toy stores, because the outfits are not as expensive to make as the doll. There's no plastic, there's no tooling, there's no molds to invest in, and you can sell a lot. It's basically the razor blade model. Now, if you're not familiar with this consumer product model, let me just briefly bring you up to speed. So while some people like the throwaway razors, myself included, that are kind of one-time use or use them for 2 or 3 days, chuck them, and then get another one, they're pretty cheap. They do the job, get it done, but they're not meant to last forever. The razor blade model is the idea that you're going to invest in a really nice razor that has a replaceable razor head. And this is for men or women. I'm just using men's razors as an example. So the idea behind the product line, and lots of companies that make razors do this, is they will get you to pay up front for a really nice razor handle with a attachment, and then give you different types of razor blades for different areas of your body or the way you like to be shaved, so it's customizable. And really, again, this is where the money is, because they're going to keep selling you razor blades over and over and over again. So this has become known as the razor blade model. The idea that you're going to sell one item and then you're going to keep selling the refills for infinity, and you have a customer for life. So how does this relate to He-Man? Well, before He-Man, there was an action figure line from Mattel called Big Jim. Still very, very popular in South America and Mexico because the line really never went away. It just became Max Steel. But that's a video for another time. So Big Jim was actually closer to Barbie than he was to He-Man, in the sense that Big Jim more or less didn't have a storyline. He was an all-out action guy. Eventually he got a group called the Pack, but he was basically an unlimited avatar for the imagination. You would get one Big Jim doll, and you could dress him up. You could dress him up for military, you could dress him up for the Olympics, you could dress him up for karate, all sorts of things. He even had jungle adventures. And again, you basically just needed one basic Big Jim am I going to call this a doll, action figure? I guess action figure, it doesn't have rooted hair. And then, much like Barbie, Mattel sold the outfits individually and separately. And again, because there's no tooling involved, that means making a mold for plastic, just sewing outfits is much less expensive to produce. So that's where the margin is. And outfits were sold in all sorts of ways. I mean, here's Big Jim's pirate outfit, sold sort of as a more deluxe outfit that includes accessories like swords and a telescope and boots and the whole 9 yards. So you could get a themed set without actually having to buy another action figure. I almost said doll again. And this was where you'd wind up with tons of different outfits for sports and adventures and outdoors and hunting and jungle and military, but you only needed one doll. I said doll again, one action figure. All right, so what does this have to do with the toy industry? As I mentioned, the idea of wash, rinse, and repeat is so prolific through the industry. If it worked 1 year, let's do it again. So as Big Jim sales went down, He-Man was set to become the new Mattel male action character. And while most of you know He-Man like this, you remember him from Filmation, what he looked like at launch was this. Much, much different. He was much more barbarian. Skeletor was much more demonic, shall we say. He was actually originally called D-Man, and even Beast-Man looked like a blob of red fur. All of the original artwork that was done in the cross-sell was based on a lot of Mark Taylor's original drawings for the characters, which were much more prehistoric, more or less. And He-Man got his powers from his outfit, not from his sword. So here is the Green Goddess giving He-Man his very first outfit, the one he came with, the one the very first toy came with, which was the strap with the red plus or iron cross, as some people say, on it. And it created a force field. Here you see him using his force field against Merman, blasting him. Or another panel from the original mini-comics when he meets up with Man-at-Arms. Again, his force field is being generated from his outfit, from the thing he's wearing across his chest. And it wasn't just He-Man that was going to do this. All of the characters in the original Masters of the Universe storyline were going to have different outfits that you could buy separately and then put on the characters. And you could even swap around. So an outfit for Stratos, for example, might allow another character to have Stratos' powers. So while the original version of Stratos just came with wings attached to the arms and a jetpack, you would be able to upgrade your Stratos or change him up more or less in different outfits. And in the case of Stratos, all of his different outfits were noted in the original outline as different types of wings. So you could have bat wings that you could attach to Stratos, which might let him fly through caves better. Or you could have bird wings that would attach to him that maybe would let him fly, closer to the sun like Icarus. Or you could have bee wings on Stratos that would allow him to fly faster or into, honeybee combs. Either way, the idea was you would constantly be able to buy new outfits for all of your characters and upgrade them with different looks, different helmets, different armor, but you only needed to buy each character once. Instead of selling variants of characters like they did in the 2000X line, you would just be buying the armor and the jetpacks and wings and boots and put them on your character. Another figure in the original lineup was Ka-Man, who was your proto-Snake Man, if you will. He was a reptile character. Eventually, this character idea, I'm assuming, became Cobra Khan. Although, I don't have any direct link to that, but there's a lot of stuff written up about Ka-Man in the original concept that never made it to market. And this character, Ka-Man, was noted as also having different outfits he would use. So as an example, he would have dragon armor, that when he put on the dragon armor, both dragon gloves, dragon boots, dragon chest plate, and a dragon helmet, well, now Ka-Man, who is like the reptilian character, would gain dragon-like abilities. Most prominently, he would have the ability to blow fire and fly around like a dragon, as opposed to just his reptilian powers that let him sort of slither like a snake, or basic Ka-Man stuff. I don't know what basic Ka-Man stuff is, but When he wore his dragon armor, he would gain, greater powers, and he had offensive capabilities of blowing fire at his enemies. Or another outfit that he's described as having would give him the ability to climb walls vertically. So, maybe the outfit would have included suction cups or claws that would snap on. It would never made it past the ideas on paper, but that's how it's described in detail as one of the many different outfits you could buy for him. Now, of course, He-Man eventually did get different outfits released as a toy line, but this was done as a full figure. You had to buy the figure itself, which came with the outfit. You couldn't buy the outfit separately. So whether it was Thunder Punch or Battle Armor, the outfits usually were tied to an action feature that was built into the chest, which again had to be tooled. But by this time, the He-Man had moved way past this concept, and it was more about a storyline. Now, there are some toy lines that work really well for lots of variants of main characters in different outfits. Batman being one of the most prominent ones, that you can do almost any version of Batman and tie it to his particular mission. For Masters of the Universe, though, kids really wanted the original one. There were other variants, like the aforementioned Battle Armor He-Man, that a lot of kids had that as their very first one, but the original He-Man, the one, quote-unquote, with force field generating armor, was the one from the Filmation series. And the inability to get him in the vintage line tended to cause the downfall, and in the 2000X line, countless variants of He-Man were the downfall of that toy line. It was treated too much like a Batman line. So while this idea didn't make it past really the first initial write-up and then some hints in the original mini-comics that came out in 1982, both with Green Goddess giving He-Man his armor and a few panels showing off him using the force field powers, it's neat to look back to see kind of what could have been if the MOTU line wasn't about acquiring characters, but was about acquiring outfits and putting different outfits on He-Man every time you played with him, and each outfit gave him a new power: strength, speed, force field, you name it. It was all about the fashion. And if we know one thing that's pretty universal about He-Man that you cannot at all dispute, it's that the most powerful man in the universe is definitely all about the fashion, baby. Who knows what would happen if this kept going? It would have been a very different line, but it still would have been Masters of the Universe. I hope you enjoyed this video and it was insightful into the history of the brand. Let me know what you think. Leave comments below, and a subscription and a like help tell YouTube to share this with other people. So that's most appreciated too. Thanks for watching.